Welcome to Ben and Walker Movie Show. I'm your co-host, Ben Davis, joined, of course, by my other co-host, Walker Holt, and we're excited to have a conversation with you about one of our favorite things in the world, movies. If this is your first time being here with us, welcome. We're so glad to have you, and while you're here, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest content we have for you, and leave a like because that's what helps drive people to our show, and it would absolutely mean a lot to me and Walker. This is our semi-weekly show, this month at least, where we break down movie news that interests us, talk about some things where we've been watching, and every now and again have some fun with rankings and games at the end. Now that I got that down and out of the way, Walker, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a long weekend. I got married earlier this year, and a year before that, my wife had moved in with me for the first time, and both of us were in our 30s, and had just collected a ton of like furniture and everything. And when she moved in with me, like my house was already full of furniture and things, and we ended up getting a storage unit just to keep her stuff there. And we are like, maybe we'll use it for like a rental property or something. We're not sure, but those storage units are $1 zillion a month.
Yeah.
They're like Spectrum. They go up every 3 months. I get a new letter. We've gone up $25, and it's like, all right, well, we it's not worth it anymore. So I spent like the whole weekend like emptying a storage unit. I'm shocked I can walk, but so I didn't watch any football.
Icy hot, man. You got to invest in some icy hot.
Yeah, I should have. I was sore yesterday and today. But AMC had a Halloween marathon on yesterday. That kind of was on in the background as we were going through old stuff.
Oh, nice, nice.
Anytime you do that too, you get caught up like looking through like yearbooks and shit. Like you just get,
Oh yeah,
like it turns into a 4 hour nostalgia fest. But that's always fun. How's your weekend been?
Not bad. Pretty busy. Pretty busy. Wife left town again for a conference, so I'm on full dad duty again. Today, Zoe and I went to her first movie,
That's
so that
exciting.
was
It's a
really
milestone.
cool. Yeah, saw Paw Patrol. We were in there for about an hour, so I consider that a victory. No crying, no fussing, but she started to get like very like wiggly and was like saying down, down. So I was like, all right, well, it's time to go. But she did really good, and she seemed to be a big fan of the Wonka trailer. When that came on, she kept going, wow, wow. And then same thing with Trolls. And she was like bouncing and moving and dancing to like the music. So like I feel like Trolls is probably one I might take her to.
So she's got her own most anticipated movie list for the rest of the year.
Probably, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
probably like more thought out than mine was.
That's funny. That's awesome.
But yeah,
How was Paw Patrol?
Uh honestly, it was cute. It was cute. It was fine. Like I got my critical glasses were not on because I was sitting there with my little girl at a movie theater for like the first time, and I was kind of just like just excited.
Surreal, I bet.
Yeah, just
It's
excited.
exciting.
You know, the movie theater is very, it's like a sacred place for me, and being able to share that with her and share what I love with her it's really really cool. It was really really moving in a lot of ways. So it was a lot of fun though. So, but my critic glasses
Yeah,
just they were not on, but it was cute to watch. You know.
that is cool. You and I were exchanging photos earlier of our hometown movie theater when we were younger in Wilson.
Yep.
I forgot to send them to you. I found like a gold mine of. I didn't want to interrupt you in her movie, but
Oh,
of the Regal Cinema 6, I've got like all the interior
no.
photos now of the theater, Auditorium 3, the hallway, the ramp going up to them, and it's also I'll send them to you after the show.
Oh, dude,
I've been
that's
looking for them
awesome.
for a while. It's hard to find stuff, and I found just a bunch of them. It's
Dude,
cool.
that's so sick. Well, it's crazy to me that you were able to find a photo of the Parkwood 3.
Yeah.
It was a Carmike, which Carmike got bought out by AMC. But
Mm.
the last movie I saw there was Hellboy
Yeah.
in the picture, top of the marquee,
It's
Hellboy.
nuts. It's nuts.
That's awesome.
I learned a lot about it too. Apparently, originally it was just the Parkwood Cinema, and it was one theater, and it was like almost 600 seats. And then
That's
it turned into
insane.
then it turned into the Parkwood Twin, two theaters, and it cut in half, and then eventually the park would triple and thirded it, so it was still like almost 200 seats a theater. And then
It was
compared to like the
big.
theaters now, the theaters in my tent in Wilmington are like 65, 70 seats in the room.
I think the big one I have here is 100 or it might be 75. I'm thinking of the uh, the one at the beach. I think that one used to be able to sit like 119.
Yeah, it's wild. It's just a different time.
Yeah, it's. But I remember very vividly going to that theater and knowing that they were about to build a new theater, and
Mm-hmm.
like shortly after that they tore it down. And then in
So it's just
2006 they got the it's now an AMC Wilson,
right.
right? But it used to be the Carmike 12 or something.
Yeah, yeah. I hadn't been there in a long time.
Yeah, I can't. I think the last movie I saw there might have been Skyfall.
Hmm. I can't even remember. I think it might have been Wolf, maybe Wolf of Wall Street, or I can't remember.
Wow, yeah, but a long time ago, man. That's coming up on 10-year anniversary. We may or may not be discussing it later this year, but I can tell you what we will be discussing, and that is some news, man. And we have quite a few topics because we missed like 2 weeks
Yeah.
of worth of stuff. We're not going to obviously go over everything, but this is just the stuff that interests us. Um, Please tell us in the comment section down below what is the most interesting news you've heard the past 2 weeks. But moving on, we're going to be talking about the Miramax Shopping Halloween franchise, and this comes to us from Bloody Disgusting, a fantastic site for all things horror. Bloody Disgusting can exclusively report this week, which was last week, Malik Akkad's Tranex International Films. I butchered that, is actively shopping the rights to Halloween franchise around Hollywood. For clarity, while Miramax co-owns the film rights, Tranex is the sole owner of the television rights. From what we understand, there is a massive bidding war right now for the television rights, with several different parties interested and vying for a chance to bring Michael Myers back to life, even though he died last year. We're hearing exclusively that A24 and Miramax are two main parties currently in battle for TV rights, and that A24 is currently leading the charge. As you might recall, A24 recently won the rights to produce a Friday the 13th television series, and it is being made for Universal owned Peacock. It's titled Crystal Lake. Bloody Disgusting sources have also indicated that Tranex is open to both film and television projects, and they are currently taking offers from studios and streamers alike. Everything is on the table at the time, and it's ultimately up to Tranex to field pitches and decide what is the most appealing thing to them in the wake of Gordon Green's sequel trilogy. Miramax would be participant in any film deal as they co-own film rights to all sequels. Walker, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of Halloween. I like Halloween 1, the original. I mean, I've liked it. I think we might differ in that opinion. I'm not sure, but the
Mhm.
trilogy that just came out, the first one was okay. The second one and third one I thought were awful.
Yeah.
And you know, any of these franchises that end up just milking it to the core, where we've got Halloween 1 through 45, and then we rebooted it and rebooted it again. It's just so much. And I get, you know, having a golden goose and getting your money's worth. I can respect it. I guess I just I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. And then the television rights. What do you think about that? I mean, I don't. Horror and TV has never really worked for me as well. Like horror, it
Yeah.
just feels much more of like a
Well,
theater
Walking
thing for me.
Dead. If Walking Dead, do you count that as horror? Does that work for you? I know for a
Yeah,
lot of
Walking Dead
people
works for.
loved
I
it.
used to like
Yeah.
Walking Dead in the early days. Yeah, and I guess there could be horror, but it's I don't know. It's not like it's scary. I mean, it's definitely an October vibe, and I can get like into that feeling with it. But I don't know, when I think of like a slasher or like something like Halloween, I don't know. I just think of like jumping around in the theater with people and just turning it on and eating popcorn and spilling it on yourselves. I don't know. It just hadn't worked for me in a scary sense. But what do you think?
So, like, I've said this before, I think, on the show, at least at some point, I am not the biggest fan of the Halloween franchise.
Hmm.
I've never really been into it, even though I really like the idea behind it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
You know, it inspired my favorite horror franchise in Scream, which I think is infinitely better. I said what I said, but
Sure, I do too.
I don't know. I was always more in I was more into Nightmare on Elm Street or the Friday the 13th franchise. Those two, I was always more into them, and I liked the last half of the 2018 film. It felt like more like a home invasion movie. Uh, but its sequel I thought was pretty bad, and then the follow up was even worse. That said, you put a studio like A24 behind this franchise, I find the possibilities very intriguing. So consider me interested. I'm just curious as to how a slasher franchise like this would do on a show format rather than a movie. Because, like you, that's my hesitation. I don't know how well horror translates to TV. I've never
Yep.
really been into horror TV series. I never checked out the Scream TV
I was gonna
series.
ask that. Me either.
Like, I'm not a big TV series guy, really, even though I watch a couple things on TV. I would not call myself the biggest TV guy. I suck at keeping up with things. I'm incredibly ADD.
Yeah.
So it's very 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 hard for me to keep up with this with a TV series, but um, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I love watching TV. I mean, TV. I would consider myself a TV guy, but Jess and I watched the Purge TV show, and she's a big Purge fan, and I know the Purge
Purge had a
gets
TV show.
yeah on FX, and FX is a good. I mean HBO. I mean it's not going on HBO obviously, but FX is a little lenient with their content as far as like how extreme they let you go.
Oh, I know. I used to
Um,
watch Nip Tuck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she loves the Purge, and I love the concept of the Purge. I wish it was executed slightly better, and I wish they hadn't beat it to death like they do everything and make 500 of them.
I like
Um,
the first two movies.
I do too,
I never saw
but
the third one.
yeah, or the ninth, or the first Purge, not the first Purge, the first Purge, and
Yeah.
Purge forever. Um, but they made a TV show. We were intrigued and watched it. And it really wasn't that. I mean, it wasn't bad. Yeah, it was at least the horror portion of it worked okay. It wasn't. It worked as well as the movies did later on. The content wasn't quite there. The screenplay wasn't there,
Yeah.
um, but the horror aspect of it worked. I mean, it was toned down a little, but it was as scary as the movie, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested too. A24. I'll check that. I mean, that interests me.
That's what perks my ear. It's A24, which is a studio that to me it's very hit and miss. But they're always interesting. So we'll see how it goes. Uh, this happened last week, but the writer strike is officially over.
Yes.
This coming to us from Variety. There's a lot here, guys, so bear with me. On the 148th day of the work stoppage, the board of the WGA West and council of the WGA East voted unanimously on Tuesday to lift the strike order as of 12:01 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, following a tentative agreement on a new minimum basic agreement (MBA) contract with Alliance of a Motion Picture and Television Producers (AMPTP). That means writers go back to work as of Wednesday, even before the final ratification vote on the contract. The unanimous decision to end the strike comes 2 days after the writers and Hollywood studios successfully concluded talks for a new 3-year NBA deal on September 24th, following a marathon negotiation session, the two sides were able to find compromises on key sticking points, including generative AI and creative processes, minimum staffing requirements for writers' rooms, and streaming residuals. They then went on to add, on Tuesday, the WGA released a complete 94-page NBA contract. That's huge. And a summary of new terms. The deal includes gains in compensation, a new requirement for minimum staff levels in TV writers' rooms, improved payment terms for screenwriters, and protections for the use of artificial intelligence in the writing process per the Guild's agreement. AI can rewrite literal material, and AI generated material will not be considered source material under the NBA, meaning the AI generated material can't be used to undermine the writer's credit or separated rights. A writer can choose to use AI when performing writing services if the company consents provided the writer follows amicable company policies, but the company can't require the writer to use AI software, ChatGPT, when performing writing services. The company, and I again apologize for my nose sniffles. It's going to happen a lot throughout the show, but the company must disclose the writers if any materials given the writers have been generated by AI or incorporated AI generated material. The WGA reserves the right to assert the exploitation of writers' material to train AI is prohibited by NBA or other law. That's a lot that I just threw at you guys. But to me, this is great for writers who have been fighting tirelessly for fair pay for their work in order to provide for themselves and for their families. Writers did not and do not get paid nearly enough. I know a lot of writers, I don't know enough necessarily about the situation, but I do know there are big writers that are working part-time jobs,
Yeah.
as well as writing. And that's a hard life when you're working around 80 hours a week. I've done that before. It's very difficult. And you shouldn't have to. I'm very happy, a deal got made that seems fair from what I was able to read on. And I will say that the most interesting thing to me is the residuals and how they work. If I understood it correctly, studios are willing to share the streaming numbers with the writers, but they're being held under an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, so they can't announce those publicly. I think this is to kind of avoid embarrassment if something fails, so the stock prices for the companies will not drop, which affects the bottom line for these studios. But I'm very happy it's over, and now I hope that soon the SAG can get a deal done pretty soon.
Yeah, this is great news. I mean, I obviously they are worked to the bone and underpaid, and like also it really just promotes good writing too, and it rewards good writing. I mean, there's so many shows and things that are found way later on streaming that they just weren't getting their due for. Shows that maybe didn't
Yeah.
take off on network TV, Arrested Development, or like Firefly, or something that like just didn't get the numbers and the viewership that it needed to when it was live. Recently, uh, Winning Season, the HBO show with about the '80s Lakers and Celtics with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
You
and
mean Winning
Jerry
Time?
Buss. Yeah, what did I say? Winning Season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Winning Time, the Rise of the Lakers dynasty. Yeah, um, that just got canceled recently because it just didn't have the numbers, didn't have the viewership, but the writing on it's great, and I could see that show. I mean, people just didn't watch it, and it's
No.
got a cool style, and I could see later on that like people finding that show years from now, and just it all of a sudden taking off. And The Office exploded over the last 5 years, when it was on Netflix and things like that. And like, I mean, somebody's making a lot of money off that writing. The
Yeah, I
writers
mean,
should have a piece of it.
Parks and Rec is a similar show. I
Yeah,
didn't start watching that until like 2017. And
yeah.
it's a show that I watch all the time now. Like I freaking love that show.
Yeah, it was just everything was just a dated model, and and it just seemed like they were getting taken advantage of. So I mean, I don't know all the details either, but I'm stoked. I'm stoked that this means we get to move forward. I hope the SAG will follow suit, and we can get back to getting some good content, and hopefully people get rewarded for it.
Completely agree. All people are trying to do is get paid fairly, and I think that that is important. Moving on, Walker, did you know that an X-Men movie is in development at Marvel? Shocked,
That's what I hear.
completely shocked. Yeah. So this comes to us from Deadline. Sources tell Deadline that Marvel will start getting a writers or start setting writers meetings later this fall for pitches on its anticipated X-Men movie. Insiders add there is no rush to fill the job since the film hasn't been dated yet, and it's more likely that writer's decision will be made at the top of 2024. Marvel declined for comment. Uh, Walker, what do you think about this?
They need they. I'm excited. They have to nail this. I think
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is so important. I mean, I'm speaking personally. I can't speak for the rest of the world. I am very lukewarm on the MCU right now. I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to enjoy a lot of it. Yes, if we go through the last 3 years, you could pick out a couple things. I'm excited about a property that's coming out very soon. But I just in general, I've been pretty lukewarm on the MCU, and I think a lot of people are. If they want to get me, I'm gonna speak for myself, get me excited about it again. X Men's where you're gonna do it. I enjoy X Men. I'm not a comic book guy, like a graphic novel guy, but I really like the original or the movies that they've made in the Sony made. I like the original ones and the
Fox.
younger ones. It was Fox.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. I like a lot of the younger ones too. I like the ones with Fassbender as Magneto. It's just they're great characters. They're great superheroes and or mutants. I I think they have to nail it. This and Fantastic Four. I just think this is what they need to base whatever phase is coming up when they make this movie, and it can make or break them. I think because if they screw up X Men, um, it's gonna
yeah.
it's gonna make people just sad. It's gonna just bum
It's
people
gonna
out.
it's gonna be really hard. To me, I think this is very exciting. I think X Men outside of Daredevil and Spider Man is my personal favorite thing from Marvel.
Hmm.
Like if I could rank my top five favorite superheroes, it's Superman, Batman, Daredevil, Spider Man, X Men. Just throw them all in. I also think it's the most rich and I think the most thematic source material for Marvel in terms of the stories they can tell as well as characters they can really dive into. It's really its own universe unto itself because there's just such an expansive catalog of characters to choose from and tell stories about. It's huge. It's a like a pantheon of characters.
Yeah.
Um,
And all
I
of them
think
are
more.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Marvel would be wise to rely heavily on them following the multiverse saga. Um, Personally, this is just in terms of talking about which writer they should get for this. I would love to see, and I'm just looking around, make sure no one's around to throw shit at me. Chris Terrio
Hmm.
get a shot at this.
Okay.
Oscar-winning Chris Terrio, the guy that wrote Argo. He also wrote The Rise of Skywalker, which is a movie I freaking love. Some people on this podcast don't love it so much, uh, and uh, and
But he did
BVS
Justice
and
League too,
Justice
didn't
League.
he? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think he could knock this out of the park. I'm pretty sure he's probably done with the superhero genre, given what he's been through.
Yeah.
But that would be my personal choice. I just think that is a rich like playground to mine from the X-Men. They are again socially relevant and you can tell incredible stories about them because they wear it on their skin as characters.
Yeah.
I love the X-Men.
I did too. I did
And
too. In the first movies, or all the movies, what they did, they nailed. I mean, performance and casting wise, a lot of the
yeah.
both young and old. Professor X, loved them both.
Hmm.
Wolverine. I mean, obviously, and Magneto, Fassbender, and
Dude,
Ian.
Ian McKellen. I
Yeah,
have a hot take. I prefer Fassbender to Ian McKellen. As much as I love Ian McKellen, Fassbender brings something
I,
to
I
Magneto that is
I think I might agree, but
different.
I really like them both. I think they both were great, and
Yeah.
Magneto. I love Mag. I think Magneto is such a cool character. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're just they're.
Very
I
complex
hope they
character.
handle it well. I'm stoked for it. I
Yeah,
hope it's
I
coming at a
am too.
time that we're gonna rethink some stuff. Like Disney's gonna take a step back and really focus on a little more quality than quantity, hopefully, and that's going to be in full effect around this time. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm excited.
I am too. I am too. We'll see what comes of it. Speaking of comic books, man, the great Martin Scorsese, in a very lengthy profile, made some comments about comic book movies, but in particular, he was really talking about blockbuster movies in general. He's quoted in the GQ article as saying, "The theaters have to step up to make them places where people want to go and enjoy themselves and want to go and see something that moves them. If Hollywood makes nothing but comic book or franchise movies, and certain segments of the audience don't want to see those films, then nothing is going to get them to the cinema. The danger there is what it's doing to our culture, because there are going to be generations now that think movies are only those. That's what movies are. The interviewer, Zach Barron, positioned or posited that the audience might already believe that, and Scorsese continued, they already think that, which means that we have to fight back stronger. And it's got to come from a grassroots level. It's got to come from filmmakers themselves. And you'll have, the Safdie brothers, you'll have Chris Nolan, and you know what I mean? And hit them from all sides. Hit them from all sides and don't give up. Let them see what you got. Go out there, do it, go reinvent. Don't complain about it, but it's true because we have to save cinema. He later commented to the streaming definition of content as opposed to actual cinema. I do think that the manufactured content isn't really cinema. He said, adding, "It's almost like AI making a film." And that doesn't mean that you don't have incredible directors, special effects people doing beautiful artwork. But what does it mean? What do these films, what will it give you aside from a kind of uh, consummation of something and then eliminating from your mind your whole body, so what is it giving you? uh that's a big comment. So here's the thing. Yeah, I think everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and certainly Martin Scorsese has earned the right with great films that he has made over the years, movies that I would call blockbusters too, like The Departed, Shutter Island, just to name a
Mm.
couple. But to me, man, I'm so sick of this debate of what cinema or franchise films killing cinema, or all they make is superhero films. For starters, no matter how good or bad something is, if it plays in a theater, by the definition, which is the definition, is a theater is where movies are shown for public entertainment. Movie theater, it's cinema. I've been guilty of using the phrase, "Oh, this is cinema," for sure. So I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox here, but my perspective has really changed on that word and how I use it because cinema is just where it's shown, but the art form is film. Secondly, franchise films aren't killing cinema. There are more original movies made today than ever before. But people are more picky and choosy with which films they spend their hard earned money on, given the financial state of this country and how expensive it has become to go to the cinema. People are just more willing to spend their money on something they feel is more proven and wait for cheaper options of, or the cheaper option of streaming something they feel is more proven, if they're not sold. And lastly, the superhero genre, like action, like horror, like thriller, comedy, drama, adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, romance, you name it, it's just a genre of film. Contrary to popular belief, that's not all we get in theaters. By the time we end this year, there's only 7 films that are superhero films that have been out for theatrical release. So that means 7 weeks out of 52 possible weekends. That's 3.64%. It just feels like the superhero genre gets beat up on a lot because it's an easy target and for a more complex and nuanced issue. Superhero films, blockbuster films, action, comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, it does not matter. All genres are equal and are valid in my view. I love all genres of film. If you're a lover of film, you also love all genres and you don't discriminate. As most people I know do. They love all movies. So I don't think we have to worry about people thinking there's only one style of film. At the end of the day, I think people just want good movies. So it elevates the art form of film, regardless of if it's a blockbuster film, a superhero film, a period piece, a drama, musical, fantasy, whatever, you name it. So I'm done with this pretentious, nonsensical debate. It's stupid.
Yeah, I pretty much completely agree with you. I mean, you just pretty much said everything there is to say about it. I don't have much to add. I mean, look, Marty's
I'm
the goat.
sorry.
I mean, or he's definitely one of the he's no. I think it's well said. I mean, Marty is Marty, and
Yeah. He's a legend.
he's earned the right to say what he wants, and I'm going to listen to him, and I'm going to at least respect it. That said, I agree. I mean, I'm sure when things were the first time they made movies instead of live performances, are like, this isn't acting, this isn't show business, this is, you get to record it
Mhm.
over and over and do it. I mean, yeah, get the fuck up. I mean, it's 2023. People are gonna change. People, the way people act, the way what they want to do, it's gonna be different. Adapt. I mean, he's an
Yeah.
older fellow, but I mean, it. My
He's an
issue
older
is,
fella.
my issue is they just, I mean, it's, I don't know, there's no one to blame. It's too hard because I mean, they just don't market the original stuff enough, and people don't go. It's just not a money maker. I mean, like, it, we're going to talk about something a little later that is finally some original stuff, but I mean, not finally, but some large scale original stuff, and it
Yeah.
which is really exciting, and one of my favorite things about it. But I mean, they're not ruining cinema. If you're defining cinema, I mean, especially if you're defining cinema as like movie being shown, like shown for entertainment in a theater, it superhero movies aren't ruining it. They're keeping
No.
them, their
They're
doors open.
keeping them. Yeah. Well,
I mean,
a lot of people don't think about it this way. I know a lot of people put or give a lot of credit to Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick, being
mhm.
the movie that really put butts back in seats. It wasn't. The movie that did it was Spider-Man No Way Home, which almost grossed $2 billion, 1.9 something, when COVID was still in Mass Effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what saved the
Um,
theater industry. And then you had it was a 1, 2, 3 punch. It was that Top Gun Maverick, and then you had Avatar just
yep.
come in and become the third highest grossing movie of all time. Those are franchise films. Those are genre films. They're cinema because they play in it. It doesn't matter how you feel about it.
Has Marty spoke publicly about what he thinks of Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, but
Right.
I'm sure he probably. I'm sure he likes it because look, there are quotes. You can go back to 2002. There are quotes of him praising. I think at least I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure he really liked Sam Raimi's
Raimi's.
2002 Spider-Man film, the original one. He liked genre. I mean, Cape Fear. That's a genre movie. It's one of my favorite of his. Um,
No.
and then same thing with like The Departed. That's a gangster movie. It's a genre film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I mean, obviously, yeah, it is pretentious, I think, and I think there's room for both. I just wish there was a easy solution. I wish I could come up with the issue with budgeting and marketing versus attendance and people buying things. But I mean, it just is what it is. I don't know how to do it. I mean, the movie people who are super excited to see. I mean, I guess like Quentin Tarantino and uh and Martin Scorsese and they are putting out a lot of original content that are driving crowds, but they
yeah.
don't do that. They don't work as much. I mean, like they need more than that. They need more. We just don't have enough. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
No,
But
we
and also
don't
another thing
have,
is limited releases that are hard for small towns to get because like there's
dude.
so much
Freaking tell
good
me about
content
it.
that like I can't see in theaters, and I mean,
Tell me
no
about it. I
chance is
can't
anybody in
go
my life going to go
see
see it.
Dumb Money. It's not playing here. I have to
Yeah,
travel an hour and a half to go see that. And as a stay-at-home dad, I cannot
yeah,
justify traveling and a 3-hour round trip to go see a movie that's 2 hours.
yeah.
That's just it's not feasible. So I have to wait for streaming.
Yeah.
Um,
And we
and
get a lot of
that's
stuff, but we
hurting.
don't get it on time. We get it later. I mean, it take you have
Yeah.
to wait for a long time. I mean, I remember like last year or whenever Licorice Pizza came out, and then The Whale and stuff like that. I mean, it took forever for me to be able to see it. I just heard
Yeah.
about it like through other movie outlets or whatever, and heard they were great. Just never could see them. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's just
agree. I mean, I think he's being a bit pretentious. That being said, I think he's earned the right to be a little pretentious. But
yeah.
I there's plenty of original content out there. The issue is no, we're not seeing it, or we are. A lot of people aren't seeing it.
It's harder to see. There's so much of it. It's become harder to see because it's spread out on all these streaming services on top of being in theaters and then being in limited release. It's a whole strategy, especially when it comes to this type of time of year. People love to ride the momentum wave in order to get Oscar buzz. So like what LA, New York, um, those type of places get those films in October. Someone like me, I won't see those movies till December, January, February. So
Yeah,
it's a late rollout. So really, it's a more nuanced conversation than superhero movies bad, every other type of movie good. It's like
yeah.
no, it's way more nuanced than that. And I don't think we have to worry about audiences thinking there's only one type of movie. I mean, my God, the highest grossing movie of the year this year is Barbie, and that's pretty
Mhm.
darn original. Um,
Yep.
but sticking on the uh, superhero bit, James Gunn has been talking about his DCU and the DCU canon going forward, which is of particular interest to me, being a huge DC fan. In short, a fan asked James Gunn what was canon in the new DCU, a question I myself have been wondering and slightly confused on, but I've picked up what he's laying down because unfortunately he's been put in a position where he's having to carry these films that don't represent what he obviously do not represent what he wants in his DCU. But
Mhm.
as the leader of DC films, he has to promote. So he's been kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. I do not envy him, but this is what he said. Nonetheless, nothing is canon until Creature Commandos next year, a sort of aperitif, I think, of the DCU, and then a deeper dive into the universe of Superman Legacy after that. It's very human. It's a very human drive to want to understand everything all the time. But I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening in the DCU since no one has seen anything from the DCU yet. And yes, some actors will be playing characters they've played in other stories, and some plot points might be consistent with plot points in the dozens of films, shows, animated projects that have come out from DC in the past. But nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Legacy. He then shared some castings like Jolo Manalduena, Viola Davis, John Cena, and Freddie Stroma would be returning for DCU, and today shared that he is now writing Peacemaker Season 2 officially, and that is as of today. Uh, he then shared his thoughts on the cinematic universe and his approach because a fan asked another question or made a statement. He said, if you think of anything as investing time and effort, no matter what shared universe, you definitely shouldn't be. Every story should be enjoyed and worth partaking in and of itself, without its attachments to an outside world. If it feels like homework, screw it. Shared universes should add fun to the individual stories. Excuse me. And not other way around. The individual stories and characters are much more important to me than the connections. What are your thoughts on this, Walker?
Yeah, I mean he inherited a mess. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm good with it. Like I am self aware enough to know I am a sucker for like continuity and interconnectivity and all the things that like Martin Scorsese probably thinks ruin cinema. I am a sucker for like uh just being paid off for watching a lot of stuff and like just culminations and things adding up and finding Easter eggs that call back. It's just fun to me. I enjoy that. It bothers me, like recastings and things like that, like get under my skin a little bit. But I'm self aware enough to know that that's stupid and I shouldn't feel that way. Um, he, I mean, he just inherited like a mess, and like there's good characters and good performances and good stories out there that exist in the DCU. I mean, there's a bunch, but there's some that really resonate and probably resonate with the tone he's going to try to take forward. And I don't think I like that they're not like scrapping everything just for the sake of it because Aquaman's at the end of Peacemaker season 1. Like I don't care. Like just clean it up. I don't care. Just go forward and like it's a new thing. The whole world knows about it. It's so public. Just be like, yeah, just buy into it and we're good. They're also superheroes if you didn't know. So if the trouble is that you can't buy into the fact that Aquaman is in the end of season 1 of Peacemaker and but you can buy in that he's fucking Aquaman and surfs falling down buildings. I mean, it's I don't know. I'm cool with it, and I mean, I think his attitude is good. I think it's healthy. I think he's still trying to like clarify, like, hey, we're just trying to make good, fun movies, and
Yeah.
and we're gonna move forward, and we're gonna try to create a new universe that's our own, and do it my way, and that just means some of these characters that have been created in the past that work, we're keeping them around. What do you think?
It's a good bit of information here and everything that he kind of spilled. And I think, this the simplest way of looking at it is exactly what he said. The canon starts with Creature Commandos that he cast with, not voice actor, he cast with, actors that would possibly play them in real life. Um,
Mhm.
uh, really big name actors. And then the first movie will be Superman Legacy. Everything before that doesn't count towards canon. That includes his own stuff. Um, these returning actors, again, I'm assuming will be like rebooted versions of the same characters they've played before. Very similar to like Charlie Cox in the MCU as Daredevil or Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Those are two different versions than the ones we got in the Netflix show. Judi
Yeah.
Dench and James Bond as M. She's in the Pierce Brosnan movies, and I know that Daniel Craig and his tone sure as shit ain't what the Pierce Brosnan
Right.
James Bond movies were. Or J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, as well as he played him in the Sam Raimi versions. They're two different versions. Same actor, different versions. Sure, there will be similarities, just like there's similarities between like Christian Bale's Batman and Robert Pattinson's Batman, but they will be different in order to fit the overall story that James Gunn is telling. I also think from like a business perspective, they already have these actors that are returning on contracts. Once again, I'm assuming. So
Mhm.
it's cheaper to go ahead and use those actors rather than cast new ones or re re up on a contract, and that would cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um,
But it
like
also,
I
I
said,
mean, I just think the John Cena. I mean, he's great as Peacemaker. I just think it
I
would
love
be.
that.
It's
That
just an
was my favorite
awesome.
show last year. Again, I don't
Like it
watch
would
a
just
lot
be
of
a
TV
bummer
shows,
for
but
them to recast Peacemaker with someone else that's going to give a lesser performance just because it makes things messy. Like it's just. I mean, I don't know. I just think it'd be. It's going to
well,
make the content
you
better.
could use the exact same argument for Henry Cavill because he is an amazing Superman. Again, I'm biased. He's my favorite Superman, but like,
Mhm.
I think what he's doing is like I think he said today, and I read this somewhere, and I'm paraphrasing from memory, but someone asked him the question. Okay, it's season 2 of Peacemaker, but will the changes of the new DCU canon be addressed, and will it be season 2? And he said yes and yes. And then they said, "What's the difference?" and or something like that. And he says, "You'll have to wait and see." So it's going to be different, but it's going to be the exact same actors playing those roles, and that I'm fine as long as I know like nothing before counts or matters, and then it all starts completely fresh with Superman or with Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy. I'm fine with it. Um, James Gunn as a storyteller is someone who I think is very good. I think he's an incredibly smart storyteller.
Agreed.
Um, and I especially love hearing how James Gunn sees cinematic universes. And hearing that, it gives me more faith. He puts the characters first in the story, you know. And I think if
And
you can
also, sorry.
go ahead.
I can also appreciate that he's being pretty public with a lot of this. I mean, I know he's probably got just like pitchforks at his door waiting for information, but I mean, we could easily have not heard anything, and everyone just theorized and rumors, and it just turned into a complete thing. And I'm sure he just doesn't want that to happen, and he's keeping it under control. But he's been, I mean, more transparent than most people in his position would be.
Yeah, and I think he thrives off that. I think he thrives off that. And also, like, there is a lot of pressure on him to nail this Superman Legacy
Yeah, the
movie.
Superman's got a lot on it. Yeah,
It's got a lot on it. And, like, when I first heard James Gunn and Superman, I was like, that is a weird mix. But then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, no, that's perfect. James Gunn, like, he works best with characters that are outcasts.
hmm.
Superman is the ultimate outcast. He is. He is someone who embodies hope and optimism, but he's also someone who is very emotional, who wears his heart on his sleeve, who, is the most human, but he's not human. And then his real home, Krypton, is gone. So he's really this person caught in between two worlds, and trying to find his identity while also, realizing that he has all this power that he can do to help all these people. Um, and I think James Gunn, and seeing what he's done with all the stories that he's told before, is very uniquely positioned to write an incredibly powerful Superman story that I think will really resonate with people like myself, who Superman's my favorite superhero. I don't love the Christopher Reeve movies. I love him as Superman. Henry Cavill's Superman, I think, is incredible. I think it's phenomenal. And I think Zach's vision of Superman is very great. And I think that James Gunn is going to follow in line with this tradition of great Superman directors. You have the Richard Donner, Zack Snyder, James Gunn, all three incredible directors, great filmmakers, great storytellers. And I think James Gunn's going to knock it out of the park. I really do. I think he's very uniquely positioned to write a very, very, very good Superman movie. And I'm just excited. Like I'm like a kid on Christmas. I want to see. God, I'm forgetting his name now. The guy who is Superman.
Corn
Uh,
sweat.
yeah, David Cornsweet. I'm just excited to see him in the suit.
Yeah,
And
it's a
it's Brosnahan,
yeah.
Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's
Yeah, it's gonna
perfect.
be great. I got a lot of faith in him. I think it's. I mean, he's in. It gives me no reason to doubt him. I'm excited for what's next, and I think James Gunn's a man that I'm glad has control over it.
Same.
But let's get into some trailers. Let's get through these pretty quickly. The we got Dream Scenario. Did you see that one?
I did. I did.
Nicolas Cage. This movie. I mean, perfect Nicolas Cage role. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna get to play just like a nutbag and someone in a nightmare, then a dream, then a weirdo. He's gonna get to flex his Nick Cage chops all over the place.
Look, this looks awesome. It looks so weird and perfectly Nick Cage.
It
Like,
gave me kind of being John Malkovich job vibes almost.
I will.
It looks like it
I'm
comes out
good.
November 22nd. I do not know the director, Christopher Borgley.
Mhm.
Um, he's he hadn't done anything I've heard of, but the movie looks great. Nicolas Cage has a great look in the movie as well. I think.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pumped. Like we should almost honestly. There's a couple things in here I'm pumped for because we might have to redo our anticipated list. We got
Right.
Wish, the new Disney movie that's coming from director Chris Buck's coming out on Thanksgiving. He's the director of Frozen 1 and 2 and Tarzan.
Yeah.
We got Arya.
This
Okay.
looks magical, no pun intended, and like old school Disney. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it
in.
does. It
I'm in.
it just feels. I don't. Maybe I'm. I mean, I don't have any children, and I'm not like. I don't really pay that much attention to the Disney scene. I mean, Pixar feels a little more in your face when it comes out than Disney, but I felt the same way.
Mm.
This felt like old school animated Disney. Um,
The
Ariana
animation looks
DeBose,
gorgeous.
yeah, it does. Looks very good. Um, Ariana Ariana DeBose
Hey,
from
she's
West
from
Side
North
Story.
Carolina, like we are. It's
Is
pretty
she?
cool. Yes.
Well, she's got great pipes too, just like
Yes,
we
she
do.
does.
And um, so that's exciting. I mean, obviously, Frozen 2, and Tarzan have great music.
Listen, it's the meme, but it's true. Phil Collins did not have to go that hard, but he did.
Yeah, that's fun. So that's exciting. Evan Peters, Chris Pine's in it, Alan Tudyk. I mean, good cast. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I am too.
We got Argylle, which holy shit! Have you the cast list on Argylle?
It's
We
insane.
we also have Ariana DeBose. Um,
She's in that too?
yeah, and we have Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa. Sam Rockwell, Bryce
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Howard, John Cena, Samuel L. Jackson, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, Rob Delaney.
Yeah.
It looks all.
So,
I'm a
like,
big.
here's the thing. I was picturing something very different with this. Something more like a traditional spy movie starring my boy Henry Cavill. But what we got seems like a mixture between like Stranger Than Fiction meets Night and Day.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
yeah. Matthew Vaughn. He also directed the Kingsman movies, which I like.
Oh
I know
yeah.
not everybody likes his movies, but I
Oh
think,
no,
especially the first two, I think are great.
I love all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Stardust is one of the most underrated movies ever made. I've done an episode on the podcast. You can go through the file. You'll find it. I think I did it in January of 21. Recorded it with my sister-in-law Heather. We got to talk about Stardust, one of his most underrated films. It is a modern day um, uh, Princess Bride. Absolutely love it.
Hmm. No, I mean it looks great. It looks funny. It looks crazy. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard's a spy novelist, and like the plots of her newest book like come to life and become true, and so she gets caught up herself in this like espionage adventure. I mean, it looks silly, but also at the same time, the cast. I mean, that's a big cast. John Cena also, first of all, great look for Henry Cavill, looks awesome.
I love the
And
hair.
John Cena is, I mean, I only saw him a little in the trailer. He's being used exactly how John Cena should look as a
He's the
big,
man in the
powerful
chair.
action man and funny.
Yeah, he's the
I
man in
mean,
the chair.
yeah, he looks like they've casted him perfectly. And Apple TV Plus, we've talked about this every week. They really have my
And
trust right now. I mean, they
this
are bumping out
this is
good
getting a
content.
theater release, like a theatrical release in February.
Yeah, but Apple TV Plus is like behind it, the
Yeah,
studio behind it, which is I'm excited for it. It looks great.
I am too. Because Matthew Vaughn's movies, they always have this like very frenetic and alive feel with the way that he shoots them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this looks very much in line with that. So I'm very excited.
We got the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the Hunger Games prequel. What do you like Hunger Games?
I'm a big fan of the Hunger Game franchise, the books and the movies. But full disclosure, I did not read this book, but I think my wife did. Carly, I think Carly read it, and I think she liked it.
I've heard it's good. I've never read any books, but I did watch. I didn't watch Hunger Games for a while when it came out. I just assumed it was like Twilight. Like I just never had heard of it, and I was like, oh, that's just like a girl book. I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? And I was like, and then my cousin Andrew, I bring him up all the time on the show. He just got me to watch it one day, and I was like, I feel I was gonna watch Twilight basically, and we started
No,
watching. I was like, dude, this is intense. It
yeah,
was great. I went home that night to my roommates and made them watch it. I was like, have you guys seen this movie? It's great, and ended up liking them. I mean, one I liked the most, but um, yeah, I mean, I'll see it.
yeah.
Nothing else.
I think this trailer looks really good and it looks really compelling. It's going to be weird following Snow as the
Yeah,
protagonist in this
yeah,
film,
yeah.
but I think I have a feeling this is going to end tragically. I mean, it kind of has to.
Maybe a
Um,
little Revenge of the Sith action.
yeah, but I've missed these movies, so it'll be fun to go back there. It's been since what 2015 since the last one came out. So
Yeah. And I like Rachel Zegler. I like Jason Schwartzman, especially being a Wes Anderson head. But like Viola Davis,
Viola
man,
Davis, man,
she's good in everything. She looks great in this trailer. She looks wild, and
she just exerts power. There's something
she
about
just
her that
owns
just,
the room.
yeah, she commands your attention. She owns the room. It is unlike any actor or actress. She just is goaded.
Yeah, and I love Peter Dinklage too. I mean, Peter Dinklage can play the same character. He's kind of like a Ryan. Like he can just keep playing Peter Dinklage, and I'm gonna love it every
Yeah,
time. I think he's great.
he's
Um,
awesome.
that's all we have for trailers this week. I mean that's four that I'm excited about. That's great.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time in the theaters coming up. Underrated.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're watching. What have you seen lately?
So I'll start off with. Have you seen? the new movie on Hulu, titled "No One Will Save You." Have you
With
seen it?
Dever, Caitlin. No, I have not. No, uh, I
So,
showed the trailer to my wife, and we're I think we're gonna see it. We're gonna watch it soon.
all right. So, like, we talked about it. I think it was on the first show that we did. One of the off the long list of trailers that we went in
Oh
and
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about. Um, this movie kind of came out of nowhere. I watched it about the weekend it dropped. I watched it the weekend it dropped, and I really enjoyed this movie. It's a very small, intimate, pretty much dialogue free film that I think works as a horror film, but also a movie about forgiving yourself of past traumas and fighting to stay alive on your own accord. It's creepy. The creature design in this is very creepy. And this, like, there's something about, I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's like stances that they hit that just, it's like they'll just stop moving, and it's very creepy. It's intense, and is carried by wonderful direction by Brian Duffield and a incredible performance by Caitlin Dever. Like, she's really good. The key that I know, at least for me, that you're going to be a great, or you are a great actor or actress, is that you can carry and command a screen without a single word, and she does it. She is phenomenal in this. And I think the ending, again, without giving any spoilers away, it reminded me of like a twisted Twilight Zone episode. Like, it's good. It's good,
Okay,
man. I
that's
personally
good.
give this, it's a must see on our scale. Like, I
Okay,
really enjoyed it.
I I'd like to see it. Is it a small cast? I assume is
Yeah.
it. Um, I don't know. The trailer kind of reminded me. I'm trying to think of like a home invasion movie that it
It's a,
reminds me of, because it starts when you don't quite realize it's like whatever it is, aliens or monsters or something, until you're into the trailer a couple seconds, and at first it feels like a stranger in the house type movie, and then it kind of turns into like the trailer looks like Signs and
I could see
Quiet Place almost.
it's like a combination between Signs, A Quiet Place, and a really messed up Twilight Zone
Yeah, I
episode.
mean, we'll check it out. Sounds good.
What else
We
have
sawant to see. I
what
saw
have you seen?
the creator yesterday. Did you see that?
Ooh, yes, I did. I want to know your
Hmm.
thoughts though.
So we
Before
can
I,
get into that. We can get into that. You want to know my thoughts?
yes, you go first.
Um. All right. I liked it. I liked it.
Okay, okay.
I've got some good things to say about it. A lot of good things. We've been talking a lot about original movies
Hmm.
today. This is a large scale original movie, and that is awesome. I hope people go see it. I'm telling you now, you should go see it. I think. Um, I, it was beautifully shot. I mean, it's the
Hmm.
same cinematographer that did
The Batman,
Dune
and yeah,
and the Batman, who got robbed from the Oscar nomination. I mean,
no,
um, great VFX. Greg Fraser
Greg
is his
Fraser.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, the movie was on $80 million budget. I mean, it looks
insane that this movie
triple that.
looks as good as it does. It looks better than any movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, it looks really great. It looks really great, and I mean for that budget, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Where's the
and
budget
it's
going for
just
these big movies?
yeah. Oh yeah. Where's it going for? What was the recent Marvel show that cost $300 million to
Well,
make?
there was Indiana Jones cost, I think, around $300 million.
But even the grounded Marvel show that just came out about the scrolls,
Secret
uh
Invasion.
yeah, that costs like $300 million to make. It's like a spy thriller. But the I mean, this movie looks like it cost triple what it cost, and it never shows. Um, I liked the movie a lot. Let me hear your thoughts before we get to the nitty gritty on it.
So, I think this movie is absolutely stunning visually, and I think this is what surprised me. I found it incredibly moving emotionally. And maybe that's because I've always been a sap, but since I've become a father, I have become even more sappy. This movie, especially at the end, man, there are scenes where I was crying. I'm not even gonna lie. I was shedding a few tears, and I can't take credit for this. I heard this on the Real Blend podcast. Um, that our friend Sean O'Connell is on. I listen to it weekly. It's a great show. Said it best that this is kind of the spiritual sequel to Terminator 2. But I can't remember who said it on the podcast. I'm sorry. Um, it wasn't Jake and it wasn't Sean. But it is, yeah, I agree with that. It's a spiritual sequel to Terminator 2. Um, I thought John David Washington was great in this. I think he is someone who exudes natural charisma whenever he
So I was
portrays.
going to ask you, what are our thoughts in general on him?
I like him a lot.
I do too.
I know a lot of people are kind of clowning on him now, but like I like him a lot. I like him a lot. I liked him in Black Klansman, which was the first thing I ever saw him in. I thought he was great in Tenet. A little subdued, but that's Nolan's style. And then in this, I found him to be very compelling because he is a character that has obviously been through a lot. He goes through a lot. It's hard to talk about it without getting into spoilers, what he goes through. But by the end, where he's at emotionally and his connection with the little girl in this movie is very, uh, very special, I thought. And she's great.
Okay,
Um,
so I got to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Madeline Unit Voiles.
Thank you. I was going to ask you the name.
Her debut, her film debut, knocked it out of the park. I mean,
Yeah.
not only for a child actor, I think she's the best. She might be the best part of this movie. First of all, just for the listeners and the viewers, she's definitely a little girl, which is obvious from the start. You will not think she's a little boy for the first 45 minutes. Like, when they were like, "What's she doing?" I was like, "She." Not the whole time. I didn't realize it at all. She's fantastic. I mean, she takes on this character, and when she needs to be weird, she's weird. When she needs to be creepy, she's creepy. When she needs to be emotional or funny or cute or angry or aggressive, whatever she needs to be, she nails it, and that she's awesome. My thoughts on John David Washington are also I like him. My first thing I saw him in was Ballers, the
Yeah.
TV show on HBO with The Rock, and I thought he was great in that. I thought he was one of my favorite characters in that show, and had no idea who he was, like who his father was and stuff. So it surprised me. But then, um, I agree. I liked him in Tenet, and I liked him in Black Klansman. But I never saw the movie. I don't think it got critically well received. But I think it's black and white, and it's just him and his girl, and
Oh yeah, Malcolm and Marie. He's great in that. That was another one.
is he?
I think he's great in. I don't necessarily love the movie, but him and Zendaya, which I mean, it's them the entire movie. It's their conversation. They shot it during lockdown. Uh, both are very good in the movie. Um, both are very good in the movie. And by the way, it's Kevin McCarthy who said that this is a spiritual sequel to Terminator 2. I
Oh,
want to make sure I give him credit. Um, but yeah, I think he's really good. I think he's really good. Uh, I think if there's anything, you know, there's many great themes in the film itself. A lot of which have been, you know, as well walked ground. I think in terms of the things that they cover. Um, this movie's kind of an amalgamation of a lot of stories we've seen before, but again, it's very hard to be completely original. It's all about execution and how does it move you? How does it make you feel emotionally? This movie reminded me a lot of like a mixture between like Blade Runner, a little bit of Akira, and District 9 and Elysium, kind of combined into an Apocalypse Now, kind of combined into
Yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
Um,
I got a lot of Vietnam vibes in it too.
yeah, they used practical locations when they shot it. Gareth Edwards, this is his first movie since Rogue One. And it's good to see him. I love that they split this movie into two chapters. But this movie, it's getting a lot of hate because of, I say a lot of hate. It's getting a lot of good reviews, but there are certain places that I see saying, is this a time for a movie like this now, considering what we just went through with, the writer strike and the actor strike with AI. This movie is not necessarily about AI. It's more so about the human condition.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's necessarily about AI. And also, this movie was it was definitely shot and directed before the writers and actors strike. So I don't think those two should be put together. And if you are upset that this movie might be pro AI, so is Terminator 2, so is Blade Runner.
right. Another thing, Allison Janney. She surprised me. I didn't know she could
Oh
do
yeah, she's really good. And she's
acting like this.
mean, man.
And she's not. I've never seen her in anything like this or anything that wasn't just classic Allison Janney sarcastic mom.
You see, I,
She
Tanya?
was. Oh yeah, I have. But isn't
Yeah,
yeah.
she's really mean to I,
Uh,
Tanya too.
um, uh, if I have to say anything negative about the movie, okay, let me comment on what you said. It was obviously heavily inspired. I think. I
Yeah.
mean, Star Wars was in there a lot for me too. I mean, I thought. I mean,
Visuals, yeah.
yeah. I never felt like it was derivative though. Like it never felt like it wasn't its own story and its own thing. I would say if I'm going to give it something like a little bit of negative on it, I kind of just felt the story in general, just point A to point B, was a little like unfulfilling to me. Like it just felt a little shallow to me in the storytelling. But it was. I love the sci-fi in it. It was great
Yeah.
sci-fi. I mean, it was good. I love the futuristic concepts. I really like when they alternate timelines and like we get futuristic at a different time period, so things are just different. You know what I mean? Like, if you ever see like almost like Jetsons esque, and it wasn't quite Jetsons, but like if how they thought the future was going to be in the 50s. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like how it looks different than how we think the future is going to be now. I don't know. It felt like the fork in the road where we start going futuristic happened earlier on in this movie, and some of the things looked, I don't know, just the futuristic concepts and things I liked a lot. I loved the extra like 20 seconds of life with the um where you could activate someone else real quick and be like, hey, you only got 20 seconds, I need you to talk to me.
Yeah,
That was super.
that was wild. Yeah, I think for me, if there's anything I could critique about the film, is that uh, I wish it were a little longer. Especially not necessarily at the beginning, but like there's this part where he starts to bond. Our early character John David Washington starts to bond with the little girl. And it
Mhm.
kind of happens very quickly between the first act and the second act. And I wish that we would have been able to seen that bond kind of grow a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's in the same vein of what I'm saying. I think we might just be saying a little different. Like I just and it didn't feel rushed.
no, and
It
it definitely
just
like
felt like you weren't quite like I was. I mean, and it's a weird thing to say because it's such a specific movie. It's a sci-fi movie with a lot of emotional beats, and the emotional beats hit pretty well. But
the
there's
emotional
still like an
beats
element of like,
still hit hard for me. That's the thing is, even though I missed that, like it still overall worked for me. Especially again, the ending
hmm.
got me. The end of the second act too got me.
Yeah. So I mean, I want everyone to see this movie. I mean, I mean, I'd probably put it as a really high end go see it, but I would like an art like almost like an asterisk beside it, like where it just has to be a must see for what they did technically, because technically this movie is really impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
the way it looks, a lot of the performances, a lot of the emotional beats, and the budget. I mean, I know you're not going to see a movie for the budget, but it's shocking that like they were able to accomplish this. I mean, it really opens your eyes. Um, and it's a good movie. I mean, it's not, but I probably have it at a high go see it. If it was out of 100, I'm probably landing in the 77 ish world or so like that. But I
Nice.
really enjoyed it. I mean, it was fun. It was original. It was its own thing, and I enjoyed watching it.
I think I am on the high end of must see. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the year.
It's great. I love that. See, listen to that, listeners, and go see it because I want movies like this when they're made. Go see them, and they'll keep making stuff like this.
Yeah, it opened up.
And
It
then
came in
Marty will
third
shut
place.
up.
I don't think that's going to happen. Um, this movie opened in third place, behind Paw Patrol, and I think number one was Saw X, which is also getting really good reviews. So I'm going to have to go out and see it because I've seen all the Saw movies. I might as well put myself through that torture, figuratively. Again, so I'll check it out and see it. But it came in third place. I think it had like $18 million at the box office. Luckily, its budget is only 80 million. But if you want Hollywood to make movies more like this, then go out, spend your money on it. I promise you won't regret it. It's a very good movie, highly entertaining, very emotional, um, stunning visually, great action set pieces, very thought provoking. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. I echo a lot of your sentiment, Walker.
Well, we've been gone for well, not gone. We were doing a deep dive last week, but we didn't get the chance to catch up on Ahsoka, so we got a little catching up to do. Have you been caught up on Ahsoka?
I have, yes.
Or it's obviously awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
We haven't talked about was it episode 6 and 7. Um,
yeah,
my two biggest
yeah.
takeaways are this: episode 6, Thrawn, fantastic. Love his entrance. Love his entire crew, like the makeshift stormtrooper armor.
It's the
Freaking
whole intro
awesome.
with him. It's awesome. I like
Thrawn,
his Star Destroyer
Thrawn.
coming in. That's got
Yeah.
like the graffiti underneath, and it's like beat to death
Mm-hmm.
from like just neglect or whatever. And then his these weird. I think they're calling them night troopers. The subtitle said night troopers. I was calling them
Yeah.
Thrawn troopers. And his little not his little his right hand man. There's chief of command Enoch. I think his name is with the
Enoch.
gold
Yeah,
face.
with the gold face. Freaking
I mean, they
sick.
look sick. His intro, I'm so glad they made it like a thing. I mean, it was the whole time. I was like, oh yeah,
The way he's talking and he just sounds so smooth. I can't do it. Can't do it. I'm not a smooth talker. So, um yeah, it's fantastic. And then also like the Night Sisters coming out, they translate so well to live action. The creepy echo voices and everything, and how that's very like, I love it when you can like see like the stuff that Star Wars borrows from, with like the three witches and everything with
hmm
the eyes. I forget what their names are, but it's like Greek mythology if I'm
right.
remembering correctly.
Uh, yeah, no, they look great. I mean, that's definitely the high fantasy side of Star Wars. They're leaning into that a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the Night Sisters were heavily featured in the Clone Wars animated series and in the video game, the Jedi Fallen Order game. You
Yep.
fight some on Dothraki, Dothraki. I keep saying Dothraki. That's Game of Thrones, isn't it? Dathomir.
Dathomir.
Um, they're doing great. They look great. Also, their planet was cool. Peridian, is that what they're called?
Pretty.
They're in, it starts with them flying or catching a skitching inside a Purgle's mouth through the
Yeah.
hyperspace lane to this new galaxy or old galaxy that
Long
they
time
hadn't been
ago
to.
in a
We haven't been to
galaxy
before.
far, far away. That
Yeah, it's
is
ultra meta at the beginning.
and freaking
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I love the nods. Like Hu Yang is like, I used to tell you stories in threes or whatever. She's like, part one was always my favorite. It's like, that's funny.
Yeah, because
I'm
it
wondering
to
if part
me,
one is A New Hope or episode one.
no, I think it's in three
I think
parts.
Filoni
So
loves Phantom
I
Menace.
I think it's in three parts. So I think it's talking about prequel, original, sequel, and she
Mm.
says Part 1 was always my favorite, referencing the prequels.
It's cool. I mean, it's just great. Lars Mikkelsen killing it as Thrawn.
Yep.
Love the little notey turtle crabs.
Yeah,
They're
those are
like
great.
they're basically just Ewoks. But like,
The guy who they cast as Ezra, aka Jesus, is perfect. He's perfect. Yeah. I knew it. Like the cadence of his voice. Yeah, he's great. And like, yeah, I love that. I love, again, Balin continues to be great.
Yeah, he just the nuance of him. What's he up to? We don't quite. I mean, he's just nailing
There's
it. I love
rumors out there of what it is. You know, you can look up what those rumors are. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah,
but I'm interested to see what's calling to him.
There's a ton of. I mean, you know, there's a ton of rumors about the night troopers. What's going on with them? And
yeah.
They see that almost seems pretty clear. I don't know. I mean, the way they hinted at it earlier with what was that guy's Merrick, the third orange lightsaber person, looks like a Inquisitor, and like he unsmoked. And the Night Sisters, they had a lot to do with Darth Maul coming back to life and his brother, didn't they?
Well, he was already alive. Or
his
still
brother
alive.
Darth, or what's his?
But he was cut in half. And they brought back his legs, essentially.
Okay. But then the gold Darth Maul, his brother.
Yeah.
I think
Savage Opress.
Savage Opress, okay.
Yeah.
And he has that gas inside him like Merrick did early on in the show when Ahsoka kills Merrick and it's
that is true. He like kind of passes away and it's smoke.
Yeah, so there might be some Night Sister magic going on. I don't know. But then this week, sorry, go ahead.
If there's anything, and it probably goes into a little criticism I have. I wish in this episode, when Sabine and Ezra met up, there was a little bit more emotion. Like, I appreciate the witty banter and everything like that. That's great because they always had that. But I wanted a little bit more emotion because that has been her driving force this entire show. And you don't see it as much. But as you were saying with this week.
Did you think it was more there this week, or do you think it's been missing again?
I thought it was there this week. More witty banter and everything like that, which is great. I have some questions. I understand it from Ezra's point of view. He has become like this Zen Jedi kind of character. He's always been very goofy, even in Rebels. He has these shade. This is what makes Ezra a great character. He has these shades of like darkness to him, but he's also very goofy. He's very silly. He can be stoic.
Mm-hmm.
He's all these kind of he can be all these types of characters. And I think, here he's not pressing because there's so many questions that she's not giving him answers to.
Yeah, she's leaving him hanging on a lot. It's kind of
she's
driving me
leaving
a little nuts.
him. I'm
man, surprised he's not like, yo, you got to tell me what's going on. I mean, like, I don't like how like it's a long story. You just keep saying it's a long story. It's like, yo, you need to give us some. I'm about to walk into Thrawn's. I mean, you need to give me some answers.
Well, he doesn't know, and I think that might be a thing that plays into episode 8 when that comes out tomorrow. But like, I mean, I think for him, he doesn't want to press. He can probably sense her feeling. She feels uptight or closed off to it, and he's not wanting to walk all over that. So that makes sense for him. For her, why won't she just tell him? Because it's very time sensitive. because their asses might get left.
And then when Sabine and Ezra were talking too, they did another meta joke with the so the Emperor died. Like, that's what they say. It's like,
Somehow he's returned.
We do get a C-3PO appearance, so that lets the show just stop dead in its tracks and be like, "Hey, we're Star Wars." So that was fun. And then we got more Anakin.
Really like that.
I did too. It's just funny to me.
I liked how they did it because, like, you can't have Carrie Fisher show up. You can't do DH Carrie Fisher. At some point, if this does build to a movie, you're gonna. I shouldn't say you're gonna have to, but it seems like it would be kind of hard, especially during this time period, to tell a story that is very connected to the Skywalkers with like Ahsoka and all the like Leia and Luke. You're going to have to eventually include Han, Leia, and Luke. They might not be main characters. They might have to not Han, because they've already recast him with Alden Ehrenreich, but they might have to look into it unless they want to do de-aging the entire time, which seems like it might be expensive.
Right.
So we'll see, but it made sense that C-3PO would show up.
Yeah. And then we got a little more Anakin too, which I was wondering if we would see him again. And I imagine we'll continue to see him again. It was too obvious, I thought, when Thrawn was like, I want to know everything about her master. Like, he clearly said her master. It was like, okay, that's going to be a plot point going forward when he finds out who her master was.
Yeah, because
I haven't read the books, but Thrawn has a lot of. I mean, he had spent some time with Anakin, I think.
Yes, he did. He spent some time with Anakin. He helped save Padme, and respected Anakin, and later on was able to kind of realize that Anakin and Vader were the exact same person.
Thrawn, though, menacing as always. He's a genius. He has the potential, if they keep it up the way they're going. I mean, I already love Thrawn from Rebels. I mean, and I've never read the books. I really loved him in Rebels, but I enjoyed the animated series, but I'm more of an animated series to fill in the gaps and be a completionist and canon type of person. And there's some really great stuff in it, but I'm not like rewatching it much, or anything like that. And like, I don't think I enjoy Ahsoka too, but I don't think my favorite. Thrawn has the potential to become one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. I think I love like his vibe. I loved it in Rebels, and now that we're bringing it in real life and Lars Mikkelsen's owning it again, I think he has the potential, if handled correctly, to just be one of my favorite characters.
I love that they have the organ music whenever he's introduced. They kind of kept it.
Yeah,
his theme music. I love it. How do you feel about Ezra not using a lightsaber? I know that seems to be a sticking point with some people.
I guess. I mean, do you think we're building up to him? I don't know. I
liked
that particular fight.
I think he's going to have to use a lightsaber at some point. I don't think he's against it, but I think he views that lightsaber as something that he made that now belongs to Sabine, especially now that he knows that she's training. Yeah, that's why he tells her, "No, you keep it; it's yours." And
I also enjoyed the way he used the Force in the fight.
Force food.
It was cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I liked it myself. Oh, there goes my phone. But yeah, I liked it myself.
Another reason I don't have a complaint about it is because this show. I mean, you go through Andor. I love Andor, but it's not lightsabers. And really, Mandalorian's not much lightsaber. I know they have the dark saber here and there, but it's not much lightsaber. This one is getting your fix on lightsabers. If lightsabers is what you love about Star Wars, you're getting plenty of it. And I think they're nailing it. I love the choreography. It's a great mix. They're handling styles very well, and I love like the samurai inspiration, Kurosawa stuff. I mean, these shots in the way. I mean, the sequel trilogy did this well too, and the original trilogy, all of them. But like, really making the colors of the lightsaber create this like vibe, and it's so cool. I mean, the sequel trilogy did it really well in the snow in
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, and then even on the Salt Planet, and all of them. I mean, and then on the water in Rise of Skywalker. Is that Rise of Skywalker? On the
Yeah.
water. But this one with um Balin's like kind of off red and Ahsoka's two white lightsabers lining up. It's just such a good look. It looks so cool to me. I love the way they're handling it. So that's another. I'm getting plenty of it. So it's like, fine, Ezra, don't worry about it. We'll get there.
Yeah. And again, like there's some issues I have again with them not really having that kind of discussion, that like in-depth discussion with Ezra. Like, what has he been up to the past, what, five,
I want them
six,
to fill
7
in some
years?
gaps.
How many years has it
I
been?
think it's 10 years. I think it's
10
10
years.
years.
Yeah. What have they been up to? What has he been up to? Does he know that Thrawn is still active and alive? How did he get separated
And
from
thriving.
Thrawn and thrive? Yeah, and thriving. How did he get separated from Thrawn? What's going on? Uh, I just, there's so many questions, and he seems so laid back. And again, it's very much in line with him being this Zen Jedi. But I hope in this final episode that there is some sort of confrontation of some sorts, or discussion of like, okay, here's how Ahsoka ends up here. Which, by the way, I love that we get like happy, cheerful Ahsoka hugging Ezra. That's wonderful. I think, to me, I completely buy, that she's kind of in this place now where she's also too very zen,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just kind of living in the present, the here and the now, which is kind of like one of her lessons that she had to learn. Right? We talked about that. Um, uh, but that hug that she gives Ezra is wonderful. But I wanted something a little bit more from the Ezra stuff.
Yeah.
But that's a little. It's, again, it's minor issues that I think will be resolved at some point to an overall fantastic show. This so far has been my favorite Disney Plus Star Wars show so far.
Yeah. I agree. I would love them to fill in some gaps. There's some question marks I have too that I just trust that they will. I mean, a couple other things I've written down here just for that were cool. The little minefield was sick. Actually, the whole thing, like the whale bones as the rings of the planet, was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And then they like fill in, that's a nice. And they fill in this minefield of these little bombs. Those were really cool. I felt bad for the Purgle though. I'm a big Purgle guy. Um, Also, I dig. There was one little shot where there was force, a flamethrower from the Mandalorian outfit or armor, and a lightsaber going on. Like when she slides across the ground, and it's like they could really make some cool stuff combining her weaponry and the lightsaber and everything. I think
Yeah,
they could
it's
make
sick.
that
And then that
sick.
shot of Ezra blocking Shin's blade. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen it before where Ben and Ray did it in Rise of Skywalker, but it's still so cool where you actually see him like push it. You hear
Mm-hmm.
the noise of the
Oh yeah,
lightsaber.
it is kind of
It's,
yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Well, you got anything else for us?
I think that's it, man. I'm looking forward to the finale that'll come out tomorrow night. So hopefully by the time
God, is it
you
already
guys,
tomorrow night? The finale. God,
yeah,
it's yeah.
we'll have Loki that drops later this week. So
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah, yeah. Good, good, good. We can. All right. Well, I think that does it for this week. Um. Thank you, Ben, for joining me as always, and thank you all again so much for listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you for watching. If you're catching us on YouTube, we'll be back next week with another weekly episode to talk more things movie, and we'll talk about the finale of Ahsoka and how much we love it. I hope. But let us know in the comments what you thought of the creator. Let us know what you thought of Ahsoka, the movie trailers we talked about, and whatever else. Be sure to subscribe for more movie talk each week. But with that said, this was Ben and Walker, and we'll see you next time.
bye bye.